Great. So welcome back, and thank you so much to Jennifer and our esteemed panelists on our opening session covering smart home platforms. So again, welcome to the 15th Annual Connection Summit at CES, the first time we've come ever virtually, and we're excited about the rest of these sessions we have hosted today, and particularly excited to talk with Jake Alamat from Silicon Labs. But first, I'd like to thank CTA and CES for their continued support and invitation to participate at their event again this year. I'd also like to recognize and thank our event sponsors, our event supporters, and also all of the companies speaking and lending their time and sharing their insights on the developments of the smart home. So to start out today, I'd like to again thank Jake for joining us. Jake is the Vice President and General Manager of IoT Home and Consumer Products for Silicon Labs. And we're going to start and see if Jake can give us a brief introduction of the powerhouse company, Silicon Labs, and then we'll also hear a little bit about his own personal background. So thanks, Jake, for being here.
Thanks a lot, Elizabeth. So a little bit about Silicon Labs. We are the leading provider of silicon software and solutions for a smarter, more connected world. Inside of the smart home, we are the #1 provider of smart home wireless solutions across the industry. Our products are used across thousands of applications, across tens of thousands of customers. And what makes us different, it's not just about the technology that we provide to that market, but how we engage the smart home and the IoT market to help drive it forward. We actively work across all the major wireless ecosystems and wireless standards bodies to help develop what is the right way and path for the market to grow. And we take those insights and engagements to develop the most secure, integrated, robust wireless solutions to offer our customers that just work. A little bit about me. I've been in the semiconductor industry for about 20 years. I've been at Silicon Labs now for a little over 1 year. Before that, I was at NXP managing an automotive networking processor group.
Great. So thanks for that introduction to Silicon Labs. And today, for the next 40 minutes or so, we are going to talk about disruption, innovation, technology, what's happened in 2020 and what's to come in 2021. So our research has identified some key trends in the market as a result of COVID-19, including the dramatic increase in consumption of broadband services, purchase rates for mature products like TVs, computers, and laptops, and really the intentions to purchase technology skyrocketing in the past 6 to 9 months. So 2020 was really a game changer for all of us, and it's put a lot of companies in a great position for 2021. Can you give us a few takeaways looking back into 2020 on what some of the key trends you all have identified at Silicon Labs?
Yeah, it's a great question. The pandemic has had a major impact on all of our lives and changed how things work and will probably continue to work out in the future. As you said, in the smart home, you've got consumers that are at home looking for how do they make their lives more efficient, how do they make them safer, how do they save time, how do they save energy. So the demand for these applications continues to increase and increase dramatically. From an industry side, we've seen some major initiatives throughout 2020 really intended on bringing the ecosystems and the market together in standardization and in interoperability. Things like Connected Home over IP project, things like the Open Z-Wave SDO, all these activities to really drive the simplicity and increase that value proposition have really, there's been major progress. And at Silicon Labs, we're extremely supportive of that. And because we work across all these technologies, we actually had a forum last year where we brought the industry together to bring ecosystem makers with device makers to help them cross-pollinate and interoperate. And that forum was an extreme success, and we're looking forward to doing a similar one this year in September.
So that's great. I know interoperability and this chip initiative are really huge topics of conversation within the industry. So we'll get back to those a little bit later in our conversation. But in looking a little bit more closely at 2020 and how things unfolded for some of your customers, can you share a little bit more about some of the issues that were ongoing in 2020 and how Silicon Labs worked to address those?
Yeah. So hang on a second. Trying to get my webcam right. So lots of things that we've seen in 2020. I think the two big things that come to mind that are the most prevalent are how our customers are asking us, how do we navigate in this changing world? We've got ecosystems coming from mobile operators. We've got big cloud guys. We've got 6 or 7 different wireless standards. How do we drive that? How do we support that? How do we future-proof our products? From a Silicon Labs perspective, we offer a wireless platform that works across multiple technologies. In fact, we support over 100 different wireless protocols, many on the same device. So that gives customers the flexibility to work across standards for today and future-proof themselves out in the future. The second thing that we've seen that's been pretty big is the increased demand for security and privacy and protections within the IoT devices. Now, this is something Silicon Labs has seen for quite a long time, and we've been actively engaged with the industry and building that technology into our devices to offer very robust security. In fact, we have the only wireless SoC on the market that is PSA Level 2 certified from a security perspective. So, and we just received the security award from the Leadership in Engineering Achievement, the LEAP award. So those are two pretty big exciting things, and some of the common questions we see come from our customers.
Okay, that's great. And a little bit more on that ecosystem engagement. So obviously what you just stated, but then can you speak a little bit more on the partnerships and how that's just playing a huge role for the smart home in general? I mean, regardless of whether it's Silicon Labs partnerships with others, there's partnerships all over the place that are impacting ultimately the consumer experience, which is what we're all getting at.
Yeah, it's all about not just the value proposition our individual devices or products bring, but how we can make people's lives simpler and better by getting many of our things to work together and provide even more unique and even more robust user experiences. And what we've seen in the market is these IoT ecosystems and platforms really drive those, coming from the utility companies, coming from the mobile operators, and coming from the cloud companies. And that gets our things to work with other things. And when all these other things work together, that helps make our lives better. And that is exciting and drives growth.
Sure, that's great. And you mentioned the issues of privacy and security earlier, which of course are top of mind for consumers, and certainly our consumer data highlights that continued concern. But let's shift gears and talk a little bit about opportunity and innovation, as well as some of the barriers to adoption for smart home products. So we just released some data earlier this week showing that approximately 20 million consumers don't plan to buy a smart home device because of the perceived high prices. There's also another group very concerned about privacy and security. And so can you tell us where you think the opportunities are for IoT device makers in a way that can help overcome some of the barriers in place for consumers to adopt these products?
So I think the data you're getting back from your research is right on point. Opportunities abound in the smart home. So today, if you look at it, smart home is growing and has been growing much faster than the overall market, and that will continue to grow. I guess what we see is that there's an opportunity to grow even faster than the fast rate that we're growing today, and that's really about addressing the simplicity and clear value proposition for consumers, addressing the affordability, ensuring that consumers feel secure and have trust in the products that they're delegating parts of their own lives to. And that becomes super, super critical. And from a Silicon Labs perspective, we invest heavily in terms of making sure that we've got the most integrated solutions in the market, bringing together the compute and the wireless capabilities into one system with the software that goes around that, keeping that simple in terms of having one wireless platform that can work across multiple wireless protocols, protecting trust through embedding very robust security protocols in the devices, and ensuring that we can work with the industry to drive even better value propositions through interoperability.
That's great. And so that leads us a little bit to initiatives like Connected Home over IP. Can you give us a little bit more about that initiative? I'll be honest, we get questions weekly, maybe even daily these days over what is CHIP? What does this mean? Why is it such a big deal? And when are things going to start happening? And so I know, certainly you're representing Silicon Labs, who is one of the founding companies for this initiative. So we'd love to hear your perspective on the CHIP initiative.
Yeah. So again, this is speaking from a Silicon Labs perspective, as there's many different founding members and many different voices in that forum. This goes back to things that will help grow the market overall and make things easier for consumers and ourselves, right? You've got simplicity, interoperability, making it easier to not have to think or worry about, what you buy at Home Depot and will that work in your home? Those things are very important. And as we solve that and make it simpler and easier for consumers, the more folks will go adopt things. And Connected Home over IP is really intended to help address those concerns, right? Where you don't have to worry about what IoT platform you're working with. You don't have to worry about what wireless technology you're working with. It just works. If we can do that, that is a big step forward in making things better for end consumers, which is why we're all here.
Sure. Well, and that plug and play kind of experience is something that we've certainly been talking about for years at Parks Associates. The simplification, the seamless integration of products working well together is still something the industry is working on. We do have an audience question, so it's specific to this topic. Do you see Wi-Fi growing over Z-Wave and Zigbee in controlling smart home devices? And that is coming from our audience listening in.
Yeah, it's funny because it actually begs another question. Will there be one wireless protocol to rule them all? And the reality is, because everybody's been saying this the last 10 years, right? In fact, there are comments about it as well, which is kind of funny. But there's just so wide of a variety of use cases, needs, and applications that it's impractical to think that there's going to be one magical wireless protocol that will get you the range, the power, the security, the data rates, the whatever you need to achieve the application. So what's really, really important is, how do you get these products to all work together? How do you not have to be an engineer to make your smart home work? If we can solve that as an industry and initiatives like CHIP, in fact, part of Sidewalk even does this as well. Once you can get beyond that and make it easy, make it frustration-free, that takes you a long way. Now, underpinning all that is the onus is on us to make the end consumers' lives better, safer, and easier. And they need to be able to trust that what they get from this industry is going to be safe and is going to work and is going to solve problems and not create any new ones. So it's all about interoperability in my mind for that question.
Yeah, well, interoperability is definitely a $1 million issue. And if Bill Scheffler is listening, we've got a lot of long-term industry veterans who have talked about these issues over decades. I do want to get back to Amazon Sidewalk, but first let's talk a little bit more about the user experience. So our data reports now that 46% of all broadband households have a smart speaker in their home. And one thing to note about Parks Associates research and how we categorize devices, we do look at the smart speaker as an entertainment device rather than a smart home device, since it is a speaker at heart and it has a software agent in there. But more and more products are coming with voice as a standard. It's sort of almost expected now that if you're going to go buy something, you should be able to talk to it and tell it how to function. So can you tell me from your view in Silicon Labs, what you think the impact of voice has been, and really where you see this going as these functions continue to get embedded in new products?
Yeah, it's this voice is big. And it goes directly to making things simpler and easier for consumers, right? This is voice communication this is how we've communicated as humans since the beginning of time. So it's really the intuitive way to interact with your smart home. And when it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, it can be very, very frustrating. So, I mean, there's been huge progress and strides here, and I actually think that that's opened the door to other applications, bringing everything in. But I also see there to be opportunity for further growth, right? And even driving voice beyond the smart speaker and across other smart home end equipments.
Sure, and yeah, I think you're right that voice is going to just continue to play an important role. I do think there's some more room. You know, I frequently feel like I'm yelling at my Alexa or my Google. I've got all sorts of devices in my home, and I have 3 children who also are all in the mix there with what they've got. So in switching gears, let's talk about what's next in consumer technology. There have been some really great announcements this week at CES. A lot of new products coming out, lots of new technology enabling new applications. So what do you all see as being the most innovative things coming through maybe in the next 6 to 12 months in terms of products? And really, what is the role that Silicon Labs is playing in helping with those products going to market?
So there's a ton to be excited about in terms of products that are coming up and ramping. I think very near term, and what you've seen with a lot of announcements, we're going to see continued widespread adoption of home automation and security solutions like locks, bulbs, HVAC switches, the whole 9 yards, and that's going to continue to grow. Another thing that's pretty exciting to us that we actually see happening near term is the ramp of smart medical devices for monitoring and drug delivery. So that we've seen a major acceleration there, and think that there's going to be quite a bit of growth, especially given everything that's happened. Going beyond that, there's even more exciting things to think about. There's a whole host of new long-range applications that will start coming out on the market that we're pretty excited about through the Amazon Sidewalk program or through the Z-Wave Long Range. There are many different applications there that are pretty exciting to see what's going to actually happen when you can take IoT beyond your house and into your property and into the neighborhood.
Sure. Yeah. So the integration of devices enabling new applications is so important, and the network connecting it all obviously is critical. Before we go to the Amazon Sidewalk topic, though, let me ask you another question that we're getting from our audience. Wi-Fi requires a lot of power. Do you think that 5G will replace Wi-Fi as the protocol of choice? And whether you have any feedback on that question.
So power is a big deal. In fact, we recently acquired last year Red Pine Signals, and that brought in the industry's lowest power Wi-Fi solution out on the market. And we're very excited about that and building that out. From a 5G perspective, I mean, there's going to be opportunities for 5G as well. Do I see it taking over? Again, this goes back to my previous comment on it's really dependent on the use case, right? And the operating model, be it for a consumer, be it for a business, be it for a smart city, and all the applications within. It doesn't seem feasible to say, hey, this is the one thing that's going to go rule them all. I think what's important is making sure that we've got the right tools to solve our customers' problems, and then ensuring that we can further optimize our value proposition by getting multiple products to work together and offer even more rich and robust experiences.
Sure. Well, and certainly, if major industry players like Apple and Google and other, Samsung, are able to come together and have their products work together, I think that will be a major, huge accomplishment for the consumer experience ultimately. And so, we certainly look forward to how some of that unfolds with the CHIP initiative. But let's get back to Amazon Sidewalk. And so can you go ahead and give a further explanation in your own words of what Sidewalk is, and then how Silicon Labs is playing a role there or supporting that initiative?
Yeah, so Amazon announced Sidewalk over the last year, and that's something that's really exciting to see unfold and to be a part of. We are working actively with Amazon, and as well as they're working with other partners as well to drive the Sidewalk technology forward. And what makes it exciting to me is that it offers a unique opportunity to ensure that our IoT devices can work not just in our home, not just in our yards, but in the neighborhood, virtually anywhere, and done with higher reliability, not dependent on your own broadband connection. So it improves reliability, it increases the effective footprint of where your devices can work, which opens the door to a lot of really exciting things, not just for the home, but for home, for buildings, for smart cities, for agriculture. The applications can be quite exciting that comes in there. And the other thing that Amazon's doing, which I think is really important, is they're underpinning it again with security and trust in mind, right? So there's a major focus on how do you protect people's data as you build this network out. This is a very unique value proposition that has the potential to make consumers' lives better and offer new use cases. So we're very excited to see that technology move forward.
Yeah, and I just was reading an article about it, and how the name Sidewalk coming really from that public-private exercise of having a sidewalk on private property that's then shared use by the public. And so I thought that was interesting where that name came from. How do you think consumers are going to maybe respond to, devices maybe on their network, or they don't know what's going on? And obviously there's the genuine concern over privacy and security that of course I'm sure Amazon is addressing very directly. But can you speak a little bit towards maybe that perception of sharing? So
I think it'd be better to have Amazon come and communicate on that as they roll this out. The thing I will offer up is, at least in our engagements, it's been very focused on privacy. It's been very focused on security. It's also been focused on choice. I have 3 Amazon Echoes in my house, and they ask me, hey, do you want to be part of Sidewalk or not? And I can choose that in the app today. And this is just me talking as a user of the devices. So I think that there is the opportunity to say, hey, we're going to invest and drive the best security that we can. And if you want to be part of this and trust this, you have the opportunity to. If you don't, it's also okay.
Yeah, and I think Amazon will, be very careful with how they roll that out with opt-ins, and then also, some understanding from consumers that there can be an exchange of things happening that kind of allow for that greater experience to occur. And I think when we were prepping, you mentioned, having your dog, the dog out of the house and in the neighborhood, and really still be able to, maybe identify where that dog is if it's got some kind of sensor on it that you're looking. So certainly there are some value propositions that I think consumers will be able to understand. But let's talk about privacy and security more, since this is such an important topic. Can you share a little bit about some of the initiatives that Silicon Labs has specifically taken? I know you mentioned earlier a certification, or an act, Privacy Act, that you all are involved in. Could you expand on that?
Sure, no problem. Let me start with this. It's absolutely critical to have trust in our devices. If we can't establish trust in the products, and consumers can't trust the products, they won't buy them, right? And that's going to hold everybody back. So as smart home devices become more and more ubiquitous, they become a target, and the need to secure them grows and increases over time. So the Silicon Labs, we've seen this trend coming for many years, and as such, we're engaged with different government bodies on trying to drive and influence legislation. We're part of the IOXT, which is intended on building certification programs for IoT level security. We're taking our products through PSA certification to ensure we've got the right level of security that can work across other secure IoT devices. We've invested very significantly in a hardware and software platform for security that enables things like secure boot, hardware cryptography, protection against side channel attacks and tamper. So we are doing everything that we can in terms of building the right technology and offering services in terms of security firmware programming and other things to our customers to help make security robust, but also as easy as possible for adoption in the market. And that's being recognized out in the industry, right? So again, we're the only wireless SoC that has PSA level 2 certification. We were just recently awarded the LEAP Award for security. So we are pretty invested in making sure that IoT devices can be secured.
Absolutely, and I know IoTX is speaking on one of our sessions later today on privacy and security, so I'm aware of some of the work they're doing and other initiatives too at sort of different layers of the value chain in terms of creating that security. Certainly, it's a must-have for consumers based on the feedback that we get directly from them. So thanks for sharing some of that about Silicon Labs and where you all are focused with privacy and security. In looking forward at 2021, there is a lot of uncertainty in the industry in terms of just consumers and the shifts that are taking place. Virtually every aspect of consumers' lives have been impacted as a result of COVID-19, and for our businesses, in many ways, there has been, a great influx of demand for the devices and the services and everything that the industry is providing. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the 2021 initiatives that Silicon Labs is focused on, and other areas that you may be particularly excited about? Any new partnerships you might be able to share, technology advancements, or new products?
Well, first and foremost, I'm going to be very excited about getting out of my house once I'm vaccinated. That will be very nice. But from a professional perspective, we're super excited about hosting the Works With event for 2021. Again, bringing that forum for developers and ecosystems to cross-pollinate and to collaborate on new ideas and initiatives. So we're pretty excited about that. We're super excited about how Project Chip will materialize. The connected home over IP will materialize in the market and start to develop. What will come out from some of these long range things like Z-Wave long range and sidewalk. We're very, very excited about that. We're also excited to see, and this is kind of even further out, how the artificial intelligence and machine learning topics continue to evolve at the edge. There's a lot of interesting things that can happen there, all in the Congress of finding better use cases and solving more problems for our joint end customers in this market space. So lots of stuff to be excited about. That's great.
Well, we've got a question that came in from the audience that is actually going back a little bit to the security standards. So let me ask this question real quick, just to step back since it came in. Does the smart home industry have any plans for a common set of security standards for consumer devices? I know of a few initiatives. I know that the IoTX has got things going, and then UL and companies like Firedome have some initiatives going, but is there anything you could speak towards that question?
Well, I think you covered quite a bit of it, right? So you've got different bodies that are coming up with certifications and plans, right? PSA has got a level of security certifications that are there. IOXT is working on similar things. The government is, in fact, working on things. In fact, some legislation was just passed. Now, this is specific to government purchases, but on IoT devices and security. So we're seeing a variety of these things come up, and it will start to kind of converge. Maybe there's a little bit different based on geography or application, but yes, we do see that trend, and we will see more and more of that over time.
Yeah, and I think it'll kind of see how long it takes. In talking about privacy and security with some friends at Qualsys who are now with Johnson Controls, they kind of think of privacy and security as something maybe even that should be required by the government. Same thing like a seatbelt in a car. The manufacturers may not have added that seatbelt until it was required because of the cost there, but ultimately the government made a decision and mandated that is part of what is necessary for products. So certainly follow a lot of policy issues and how that's rolling out, and also have some other experts that we connect with to stay on top of that. So we do think privacy and security, again, is a core issue, and that these initiatives are going to take hold over time. Let's go to another question that I've got coming in before we talk more on top priorities. So here's a question from our audience. Is Silicon Labs doing anything in the quantified self and digital health and wellness space? So could you speak a little bit towards the healthcare side of things and any role that you all might be playing?
Yeah, so we are actively working with many different companies across the portable medical, clinical medical spaces, and we're actually seeing quite a big uptick in demand and development on these applications as well. Driving monitoring. Before the vaccine there was a lot about contract tracing, but we're seeing things on drug delivery, on patient monitoring that are expanding, and it's all about, at least from what we've seen in the market, it's all about miniaturization, affordability, and ensuring that it's secure, even more so because you're taking patients' vitals, or you're actually providing them drugs in certain cases. So that actually lends itself very well to the types of products that we have that are wireless, highly secure, have compute embedded inside of them. So that's coming, and we're seeing quite a bit of uptick in demand and development on that front.
Yeah, and with the number of connected health devices, whether they're medical devices or fitness tracker types of wearables. There's a lot of data that's getting collected, and I think that in the coming years, the integration of those different devices into a central place that could be then utilized to really ultimately serve that consumer and or their healthcare team is going to play an increasingly huge role, particularly in keeping consumers in their homes longer. Nobody wants to ever have to move a family member into any kind of senior living, and especially now, we've got to come up with new solutions for consumers and their families to serve their loved ones at home and in a way, and technology really just plays an amazing role of what we can do. That's a topic that's very close to my heart. I think serving our older consumers with the use of technology is going to continue to be a huge deal. But let's get back to 2021 and looking at what do you think the top priorities for IoT developers focused on design platforms and ecosystems will be, and then maybe touch on any new use cases that you think you might see as a result of this.
So, if I kind of boil it back, because there's many use cases, there's many applications, but if I boil it back to what I think the most important things we have to go work on is we have to continue to move the needle on simplification and scale, making cost efficient, affordable solutions for our consumers that solve problems for them, creates new problems, and works across the other set of devices that they may have or other ecosystem of devices that we have to deliver real value, right? And the great news is that it's never been easier to do that before than it is now, and it's continuing to get better. Companies like ours are super excited and committed to this space, but we're actually honored to have the opportunity to develop technology, software, and tools that help make that happen and help drive that to be a reality.
Well, Silicon Labs is certainly a leader in innovation, and so I know that you all are supporting many companies and their products. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with as a closing thought from your perspective, Jake? We really appreciate your time here today, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to give us some closing comments.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Elizabeth. It was a great chat and really happy to be here to share insights and to discuss about where we see the market going. I think the biggest thing is, to leave the audience with is, this isn't just about one company or another company. It's how do we all work together? This isn't a zero-sum game. The market's growing and it's growing fast, and we can make it grow even faster together to rise all tides. And what's going to make that happen is folks working together. I did a presentation last year at the Zigbee members meeting, and I talked about this détente moment, right? Where instead of trying to say, okay, I'm going to make this work and at the expense of that, if we could stop doing that and figure out how do we come together and make it a little less confusing and maybe a little bit better for our consumers, everybody would be better off, right? So we're a committed partner in making that happen in Silicon Labs. We will continue to be, and we look forward and are honored for the opportunity to work with folks such as yourself and the industry to go make that happen and make that a reality. So thank you very, very much for the time today.
Well, thank you, Jake. We really appreciate you being here. And as we know, consumers have a choice in the products they buy. It is all about the experience. And we know that particularly with smart home device owners, that experience is what's leading them to buy more smart home devices. So it's all in the experience, and certainly Silicon Labs is helping create that. So we very much appreciate that, and all of your comments today. So thank you for your time. And I want to also thank our sponsors again and our speakers of Connection Summit. We will be moving along to another session starting at noon called Home Services, Maximizing the Value of Connectivity. We also have another session on home security and DIY and professional installation. Later today, we will be joined by Jim Hunter of Delos, and we will be talking to him a little bit more about the importance of health and wellness in the smart home, with a particular look at air quality and the overall impact there. So I hope you can join us later today. Also want to, again, reference all of Parks Associates executive conferences in 2021 that we will be hosting throughout the year. So if you're in the smart home space, if you cover energy management in the home, if you look at OTT, connected CE, digital entertainment, or at connected health products, please reach out to our team. We want you involved. I'd love to get to know you myself. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and certainly appreciate your time and engagement, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you for being here. Hello, my name is Elizabeth Parks, and I am the president of Parks Associates. Welcome to Connections Summit at CES. This is our 15th annual event to host in partnership with CTA and CES. We thank them for the invitation again to participate as a partner and for their support throughout the year. We also want to thank you for your attention and participation today as we share more data and continue to have great conversations about the growth of the connected home. I'd like to take a moment and highlight a few things about Parks Associates. If you aren't aware, Parks Associates is entering its 35th year in business in 2021. In 1986, Parks Associates was founded by Tricia Parks, our CEO, my mom, and my best mentor. She started Parks Associates following her VP of Research position at Future Computing. Since then, we have helped thousands of companies navigate the connected consumer industries, providing insights, consumer and industry data, and trends on technology enabling smart home and connected entertainment applications and services. Our research practice is fairly traditional. Each year we produce over 100 syndicated reports, studies, trackers, and market assessments. About half of our research practice for our clients is custom work. We do anything from focus groups to consumer survey work to quarterly business reviews, go-to-market strategy, and consulting using Parks Associates data as the foundation of knowledge. We study the connected home across two large categories: the smart home, including home security, smart home devices, energy management solutions, and health and independent living, and the connected consumer electronics and entertainment category, covering CE devices, entertainment services and content, and broadband services. We also look at the SMB market, given that many technologies for the consumer market also apply in that environment. We also closely study all the technologies and standards that impact the home across all applications and services, like 5G and 10G, support services, AI, and machine learning. We also typically host 6 executive conferences each year in person, bringing together over 3,000 senior executives in technology. We have 3 smart home and home security events, including Connections Summit at CES, our signature Connections Conference this year celebrating its 25th year, our Connections Europe event, our Smart Energy Summit in February, our Connected Health Summit in August, and our Future of Video event in December. In addition, we have custom marketing services where we offer sponsorships of our white paper and webinar content with lead gen services. This year, we will be presenting our events virtually throughout the year, offering a unique opportunity to listen to our analysts and industry leaders. Parks Associates' mission is to be the leading provider of knowledge for the technology industries, facilitating better business decisions and providing best-in-class networking experiences. In 2021, our smart home research will focus on the state of the smart home market and tracking adoption and use of devices, the unified consumer experience, barriers to adoption, the buyer journey, new areas of opportunity like air quality, and smart home opportunities in MDUs and multifamily environments. Our home security research is focused on tracking usage, attrition, analysis of providers, opportunities with adjacent markets, new competition, and purchase triggers and trends, among other topics. Our annual security dealer study, which will be in its 9th year in 2021, helps us better understand the dealer mindset, and especially in 2020, the shifts that have occurred for this important group. In energy management, we'll take a look at adoption of EVs, solar, demand response programs, and how the smart home can help utilities achieve some of the net zero goals in place. This is an enormous topic of conversation in 2021. In the past year, we've seen sales of CE devices at their highest since 2012. We will continue to track adoption of the most mature categories and the emerging device categories like mesh networks and various home networking equipment. This area of our business is foundational to our knowledge of the consumer at home. Connectivity is driving everything right now for the use of technology, along with the devices that enable new applications and experiences for consumers. Our 2021 broadband research is focused on the state of the broadband market, transformation of communications for consumers at home, and shifting preferences for fixed versus wireless services. As a result of connectivity and device adoption in the home, disruption in digital media continues on. Our entertainment content research in 2021 will analyze gamers, consumption of digital media, and the impact of new formats like short-form content. Pay TV services have been in decline as OTT services have been on the rise. Entertainment is also a huge area of focus for Parks Associates. And in 2021, we will continue to track the OTT market through our OTT tracker and provide extensive consumer and industry insights on new business models, subscription services, and consumer video consumption. Connected health is another important topic we've been focused on for almost 15 years. This year, obviously, COVID has had a remarkable impact on consumers and their healthcare. Our research in this area is focused on the technologies, the devices, and the services in the home that can support consumers living safely and independently as long as possible. Lastly, our support research covers the professional support market for consumers and a focus on the SMB markets. As the home continues to be a more complex environment, consumers will seek professional support to ensure their devices work, as well as consider additional services that might add additional value. Remote work is also a huge driver of support services for consumers at home and all size businesses. We hope that if you're considering any market research needs, you consider Parks Associates. As a small family-owned and woman-led business, we understand the importance of a partner with a foundation based on integrity and excellence. Our team is dedicated to the support of these industries through reliable and accurate insights and an understanding of the players and their ecosystems. If you want to brief with our team, participate in our events, need extensive research, or just want to catch up on the latest research we have, please visit our website at www.parksassociates.com or reach out to me directly on LinkedIn or via email at eparks@parksassociates.com. We look forward to working with you in 2021. Please send us any feedback on your experience at Connection Summit at CES or any of our research. We wish you the best in 2021 and look forward to talking with you soon.